You hand over your money at the gate. Perhaps $90, perhaps $150. The turnstile clicks and you feel you have paid for your day. This is the illusion. The ticket is not the product. It is the doorway to a machine engineered to open your wallet a dozen more times before sunset. Consider the numbers. In 2023, the Walt Disney Company reported that its Parks, Experiences, and Products division generated over $32 billion in revenue. Admission fees are only a fraction of that figure. The rest flows from popcorn buckets, plush toys, parking lots, hotel suites, and the small plastic wristbands that let you skip a line. A single guest who enters on a $90 ticket may spend $300 before they reach their car. Theme park economists have a name for this. They call it per capita spending, and it is the number that keeps executives awake at night. Every fountain, every cent piped into a candy shop, every carefully placed bench exists to extend your stay and increase that figure. The ticket merely establishes the baseline. It gets you inside, where the real transaction begins, and that transaction must cover an astonishing weight of hidden cost. Behind the castle facade sits an industrial operation consuming millions of gallons of water, employing tens of thousands of workers, and burning electricity on the scale of a small city. A single major roller coaster can cost more than a skyscraper. Insurance premiums run into the tens of millions. Land, before a single ride is bolted down, can swallow hundreds of millions of dollars. The entrance fee, that $90 ticket you thought was the whole story, cannot possibly pay for all of it alone. So the park becomes something stranger than an attraction. It becomes a closed financial ecosystem, a controlled environment where every path, price, and pause is calculated. To understand how the money truly moves, we cannot start at the gate. We must start earlier, before the first brick, before the first blueprint. With the single most expensive decision any park will ever make, we must start with the ground itself and the price of the land. Before a park can dream of roller coasters, it must first own the earth beneath them, and earth, in the right location, is ruinously expensive. The most famous land grab in theme park history unfolded in Central Florida in the mid-1960s. Walt Disney had learned a bitter lesson at Disneyland in Anaheim, which opened in 1955. Around that park, cheap motels, souvenir shops, and traffic swallowed the surrounding streets. Others captured the profit that Disney's crowds created. He refused to let it happen again. So in Florida, Disney bought in secret, using shell companies with names like the I-4 Corporation and the Latin American Development and Managers Corporation. His agents quietly acquired 27,000 acres of swamp and cattle land near Orlando. Because sellers did not know Disney was the buyer, prices stayed low. Some parcels went for as little as $80 an acre. Had the seller known the truth, prices would have exploded. In total, Disney secured roughly 43 square miles, an area twice the size of Manhattan, for around $5 million. That footprint changed everything. It gave Disney control not just of the park, but of the roads, the hotels, the parking, and every dollar spent around it. In 1967, Florida even granted the company its own governing district, the Reedy Creek Improvement District, allowing it to build its own infrastructure and set its own regulations. Land was not merely a cost, it was a strategy. Location dictates attendance. Size dictates ambition. A park hemmed in by suburbs, like many older attractions, can never expand, never build a new themed land, never capture the visitor for a second or third day. A park that owns the horizon can build hotels, water parks, and entire vacation resorts, keeping guests and their spending inside its borders for a week. This is why the price of land is the first great gamble. Buy too little, and rivals feast on your crowds. Buy in the wrong place, and no one comes at all. But securing the ground is only the beginning. Because once you own the impossible acreage, you must fill it with something impossible to build. Now the empty land must become a spectacle, and spectacle is staggeringly expensive. A modern roller coaster is not a simple track. It is a custom-engineered structure of steel, hydraulics, magnetic launch systems, and computerized safety controls, each piece fabricated to tolerances measured in millimeters. Consider Expedition Everest at Disney's Animal Kingdom, which opened in 2006. That single attraction reportedly cost around $100 million. Its centerpiece, a towering artificial mountain, required more than 5,000 tons of steel and a Yeti animatronic so complex it became infamous for breaking down. One ride. $100 million. But rides rarely stand alone. Modern parks build entire themed lands, immersive worlds designed down to the doorknobs. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which opened in 2019 at Disneyland and Walt Disney World, reportedly cost around $1 billion per location. That figure paid for a full-scale Millennium Falcon, robotic ride vehicles, custom architecture, and cast members trained to speak in character. Why so much? Because immersion is the product. Every rock is sculpted. Every sign is invented in a fictional alphabet. The goal is to erase the outside world so completely that guests forget they are standing in a commercial enterprise. That illusion demands the work of Imagineers, engineers, sculptors, and software teams working for years before a single guest arrives. Construction also fights the ground itself. Florida's swampy soil must be drained and stabilized. Underground utility corridors, some famously running beneath Disney's Magic Kingdom, must carry power, water, and waste out of sight. The infrastructure buried before the fun begins can rival the cost of the attractions above it. And these are not one-time expenses. A park that stops building begins to die. Its rides aging, while competitors unveil something newer and taller. So the capital pours in continuously, hundreds of millions, then billions, chasing the next headline attraction. Yet even the most breathtaking ride is worthless the moment it stops moving. The instant the gates open, a second cost begins, quieter, relentless, and never-ending. Because a park is not a monument you build once, it is a machine that must run every single day, and that machine never stops. The rides are built, the gates are open. Now the true relentlessness begins. A theme park is a living machine, and it consumes resources every hour of every day, whether 10 guests arrive or 100,000. Start with electricity. A large resort like Walt Disney World draws power on the scale of a small city. Estimates place its consumption in the hundreds of megawatts, enough to light tens of thousands of homes. Every launch coaster, every air-conditioned queue, every animatronic and light show pulls current. To offset this, Disney built solar facilities near Orlando, including a 270-acre array capable of generating around 50 megawatts. That investment exists because the energy bill is simply enormous. Then there is water. Water parks, fountains, ride flumes, landscaping, and cleaning demand millions of gallons daily. Central Florida's climate means constant irrigation and constant pumping. And behind it all runs maintenance, the invisible profession that keeps guests alive. Every roller coaster is inspected before dawn. Technicians walk the track, test the brakes, examine welds, and run empty trains through the circuit while the park sleeps. Ride vehicles are pulled from service on strict schedules, disassembled, and rebuilt. A single missed inspection can end in tragedy. This is why parks employ a hidden army. Long before the first family reaches the gate, thousands of workers are already inside. Custodians pressure wash walkways. Horticulturists trim topiaries. Chefs prep thousands of meals. Ride operators run test cycles. Electricians reset the shows. The park you experience as effortless magic is the product of a nightly resurrection performed by people you never see. And these costs do not pause. In the off-season, when crowds thin, the machine still runs. Rides still need testing. Landscapes still need water. Buildings still need power and repair. The expenses are largely fixed, indifferent to whether the turnstiles are busy. This is the brutal arithmetic of operations. A park bleeds money continuously simply by existing, and it must earn enough on good days to survive the quiet ones. Yet even this constant drain is not the greatest financial danger a park faces, because beyond electricity and maintenance lies a threat that can erase everything in a single afternoon, recorded in an unseen ledger of risk. Every day, a theme park sends millions of people hurtling through the air at high speed and trusts that all of them come home safe. The trust is not faith. It is a financial system, one of the most expensive and least visible in the entire operation. Safety begins with inspection. In many jurisdictions, amusement rides must be examined regularly by state or third-party inspectors. In Florida, large permanent parks like Disney and Universal operate under special arrangements that allow self-inspection, but they must still report injuries and maintain rigorous internal standards. Elsewhere, state inspectors physically certify rides before they can legally operate. These inspections cost money, time, and downtime, but the alternative is catastrophe. Because when something goes wrong, the numbers become terrifying. A serious accident can trigger lawsuits reaching into the millions of dollars. It can force a ride to close for months during investigation. It can shatter public confidence, and confidence is the invisible asset that fills the parking lot. This is why liability insurance is a cornerstone expense. Large parks carry coverage running into the tens of millions of dollars, protecting against injury claims, property damage, and the endless possibilities of a place where crowds, machinery, and water mix. Premiums rise with every incident, anywhere in the industry. A tragedy at one park can raise costs for all of them. Regulatory compliance adds another layer. Fire codes, food safety standards, building inspections, disability access requirements, and evacuation planning all demand staff, documentation, and constant vigilance. Each themed land must meet the same legal obligations as any commercial building, multiplied across thousands of acres. And behind every calculation sits the unseen ledger of risk. Actuaries model the odds. Engineers build in redundancy, so that if one brake fails, another catches. Ride restraints are designed to lock even during a power loss. This obsession is not only moral, it is economic survival. One preventable death can generate lawsuits, closures, and reputational damage that threaten the financial life of an entire resort. So the park spends fortunes to ensure nothing happens. But even a perfectly safe, perfectly maintained park needs one more thing to function. It needs people, tens of thousands of them, hired and trained by the season. Before a single guest passes through the turnstile, an invisible workforce has already clocked in. A major theme park like Cedar Point in Ohio employs roughly 5,000 seasonal workers during its peak summer months, while Walt Disney World in Florida sustains more than 75,000 employees year-round. These numbers are not accidents. They are the largest and most unpredictable line item on the entire balance sheet, often consuming 40 to 50% of operating expenses. Labor is the beating heart of the operation, and it is also its most fragile organ. Consider the logistics. Every spring, parks must recruit tens of thousands of ride operators, food servers, custodians, lifeguards, and costume characters. Many arrive through the US J-1 visa program, flown in from Eastern Europe, Latin America, and Southeast Asia to fill positions that domestic labor markets cannot. Each of them must be trained. A roller coaster operator cannot simply be handed a control panel. They must learn emergency evacuation procedures, restraint checks, and dispatch timing measured in seconds. That training costs money before it generates a dollar. Then comes the volatility. A theme park's revenue is brutally seasonal, concentrated in summer weeks and holiday spikes, yet labor demand swings just as violently. Hire too few, and lines balloon, ride throughput collapses, and guest satisfaction craters. Hire too many, and payroll bleeds through a slow Tuesday in October. Weather compounds everything. A single rainy weekend can send thousands of hourly workers home while fixed labor commitments remain. Wages themselves have become a battlefield, When Disney raised its minimum wage to $15 an hour in 2018, then to $18 by 2023, the ripple touched every competitor. Rising minimum wages, housing shortages near parks, and post-pandemic labor scarcity have all inflated the cost of simply keeping the gates staffed. Parks now build employee dormitories, subsidize transportation, and offer education programs just to retain bodies. And here is the paradox that drives everything forward. All of this staggering expense, all these tens of thousands of paychecks, exists to serve guests who have already paid their admission. So where does the actual profit come from? The answer lies not at the gate, but in everything a guest does after walking through it. Here is the secret the entire industry is built upon. The admission ticket is not where theme parks make their money. It is merely the toll to enter a spending environment engineered down to the square foot. The true profit engine is what analysts call in-park per capita spending, the amount each guest surrenders after they are already inside. At Disney parks, that figure has climbed past $60 per person per day on top of admission. Multiply that by tens of millions of annual visitors, and the math becomes staggering. Consider the humble churn of food and beverage. A soft drink that costs the park perhaps 30 cents to serve sells for $5. A turkey leg, a funnel cake, a bottle of water carried through a Florida afternoon. Margins on concessions routinely exceed 60%. Parks deliberately limit outside food, ban coolers and space restaurants, so that hunger arrives precisely when a cash register is nearby. Then there is merchandise, the physical memory of the day. A plush character, a mouse-ear hat, a light-up sword sold beside the exit of every ride. Retail margins can reach 50% or higher, and impulse is the entire strategy. That is why every attraction, from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge to the darkest indoor coaster, empties directly into a gift shop. You do not exit the ride, you exit into the store. Even parking is profit. At the largest parks, a single day of standard parking costs $30. Premium spaces far more. On land the park already owns outright. With 15,000 vehicles arriving daily, that asphalt generates hundreds of thousands of dollars before anyone buys a ticket. This explains the deepest design philosophy of the modern park. Every pathway, sightline, and queue is built to keep you inside longer. The longer you stay, the more meals you buy. The more souvenirs you accumulate, the more thirst you satisfy. A guest who stays 12 hours is worth several times a guest who stays 4. The park does not want your ticket, it wants your entire day. And the most profitable guests of all are those who never leave at night, who sleep, dine, and dream inside the empire itself. The ultimate ambition of a theme park is not to sell you a visit. It is to capture you completely. On-site hotels are the perfected instrument of that capture. Walt Disney World operates more than 25 resort hotels holding over 30,000 rooms, ranging from value properties to the Grand Floridian at over $800 a night. Once a family checks in, they are inside a closed economy for days. Every breakfast, every dinner, every gift, every extra day of admission flows back to the same owner. The hotel does not merely earn room revenue. It extends the visit. A guest staying 4 nights spends 4 days of per capita in-park dollars, transforming a single trip into a multi-day extraction of value. This is why parks offer early park entry, exclusive nighttime hours, and free transportation exclusively to on-site guests. The perks are real, but their purpose is containment. Then come annual passes, a masterstroke of financial engineering. By selling a pass for $400 to $500, the park secures cash up front and, more importantly, secures loyalty. A pass holder returns again and again, and each visit generates food, merchandise, and parking revenue. The ticket becomes irrelevant because it was prepaid months ago. The pass holder is now a recurring in-park spender, a subscriber to the entire ecosystem. And finally, the premium skip-the-line systems. Disney's Lightning Lane and Universal's Express Pass let guests bypass queues for an additional fee, sometimes exceeding $100 per person per day. This monetizes the single most precious resource inside any park: time. The park deliberately maintains long lines, then sells the escape from them. Scarcity, manufactured, and then sold back at a premium. Together, hotels, passes, and premium access convert a one-day visitor into a captive, high-value guest embedded in the system for days. They lock in revenue before the visit begins and multiply it while it unfolds. But even a perfectly captured guest will eventually grow bored. Loyalty decays. Attendance drifts toward whichever park built a newer, taller, more spectacular thing. And so the owner faces one final, permanent demand, a competition that never ends and never allows a moment of rest. No theme park can ever stop building. The moment it does, it begins to die. This is the eternal arms race, the relentless pressure to reinvest hundreds of millions of dollars into new attractions simply to hold the ground it already occupies. When Universal opened the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in 2010, attendance surged over 30%, and Disney had no choice but to answer. The result was Pandora, the world of Avatar in 2017, then Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in 2019, a single land costing more than $1 billion. These are not indulgences. They are survival. Guest memory is short, and expectations are merciless. A coaster that thrilled in 2015 is ordinary by 2025. A land that opened to record crowds becomes background scenery within a decade. Attendance is driven overwhelmingly by the new, and so parks must perpetually cannibalize their own profits to fund the next spectacle. The revenue from today's crowds becomes the capital for tomorrow's construction. That is why Universal invested an estimated $5 billion into Epic Universe, opening in Orlando in 2025, an entirely new gate built purely to seize market share. The competition is not merely between rides. It is between economies, each racing to keep its captive guests from drifting to a rival. This reveals the final truth of everything we have examined: the land purchased in secret, the billion-dollar coasters, the unstoppable machine of maintenance and electricity, the insurance ledger, and the seasonal army, the food, the merchandise, the parking, the hotels, the passes, the manufactured scarcity of time itself. None of these are separate. They are organs of a single living body, a self-contained system of production, consumption, reinvestment, and growth. The ticket was never the point. The ride was never the point. The park itself is the product, and the guest is both customer and resource, feeding a cycle that can never be allowed to stop. Understand this, and the illusion finally dissolves. What you are walking into is not a collection of attractions. It is not an amusement. It is a fully functioning market, engineered to the inch and running every second of every day. A theme park is an economy.